Today's video is quite possibly my most anticipated video, not even of 2018, for the past 4 years. I've already posted a plethora of videos about the subject, and you know from the title what I'm about to speak about, but Restore Me by Tahereh Mafi hit shelves, and it is so beautiful. If you're new here, hello, my name is Whitney, and I've been obsessed with Shatter Me since I was a ripe age of 15. I have a whole Shatter Me playlist I'll link down below just because I've made so many videos about it. And I'm so excited to be here to be able to talk about a new book, to go over new theories, to just get out the brain farts that have all accumulated. I really want to give this an honest review and delve into my thoughts and just give it a well-rounded review and tell you from the standpoint of a human and not someone whose every living, breathing thought is about Warnet, how this book went for me. So basics. This book is the 4th book in a I almost just said trilogy. It's not a trilogy anymore. It's now a 6-book series. It's called Shatter Me by Tahereh Mafi. The first book looks like this. The series follows a 17-year-old girl who has been locked up in an asylum after she accidentally kills a little boy. I call this an accident because she has this touch where anytime she touches someone, she kills them, and no one knows why that happens. The gist is she has this power, doesn't know where it came from and what to do with it, and she feels so isolated and like she can't get near anyone because she's so terrified of being in her own skin. And it's about the military trying to use her as a weapon in their war. This is a dystopian society, and so there's lots of warfare and evil going on. So she has to decide, does she want to become this weapon in some corrupt, unjust power system, or with help from unlikely friends does she want to escape for the first time and fight back and be strong and learn how to harness her power. And it just develops into a gorgeous arc of a series that's all about self-love and accepting yourself and growth. Whenever I originally read it when I was like 15, I was like, oh my god, the romance! And it is a very character romance driven series, but I stuck here for the growth of the characters and the way that this serves as a metaphor for my mental health as far as overcoming barriers and believing in yourself and supporting others and just being optimistic and stuff like that. We're already getting emo. This book just took those themes and ran with them and developed it into something new and bigger and beautiful, and obviously I can't tell you the synopsis of this one. Obviously I haven't filmed a book review in a while because I totally forgot to say I gave this book 5 stars. Are you shocked? No. Okay, back to my review. For this book, I would place a couple of trigger warnings off the bat. The main ones are transphobia, child abuse, gun violence, gore and blood, Islamophobia, as well as some other mentions of racism, and panic attacks. If you want to know specifically what pages those are around, you can let me know and I'll message you or respond to you and let you know like when to be wary of those. But yeah, if any of those will affect you, then definitely be cautious when delving into this. The first time I read this, I read it on my Kindle, the first 200 pages, and then I had to stop because I really did not like it. I felt it didn't do the characters justice, it was so different, it was weird, and I think that was just because I had to let it settle and I had to get the physical copy in the mail and read it with the font and the deckled edges and let it sink in, and after that it was so good. So like after reading it for a 3rd time, because I'm stupid, I do think it's an honest an organic continuation to the series. I don't think it's unrealistic. I don't think it brings characters to lows that they won't be able to bring themselves out of. I think the writing stays true to the original trilogy, the character dynamics stay true to the original trilogy, and even though it's different, I don't have any doubt that in the future books we'll have things figured out and it's gonna keep unraveling. The first 3 books in the series were a bit slow burning and there were plot twists in each of them and new information in each of them, but this one reads like every second there's something new, there's something we're discovering, there's some type of action happening. And even though I say that, it is a very introspective book. A lot of it is just pages and pages of the characters explaining themselves, because I think I forgot to mention up until now, this book takes place in 2 perspectives, whereas the original trilogy was just Juliet's perspective. We're now getting Warner's perspective in this, and I think that offered a really vital part of the story, and a lot of it is just their inner monologue of them like admitting their fears, admitting where they are at the current place, Warner thinking back on his life, and we find out new information about the global world building that we've been craving. But the book is so fast paced because there's just so much information being thrown at you, and I think if you ended the trilogy being like, plot holes, what's happening, this answers so many questions, but it also poses a million more. So maybe if you want to binge the whole series in like 2020, I think, when they're done, it's a lot. Without the chapter titles and without the journal entries that are interspersed in here that we've already read throughout the entire series, this book is only 309 pages. I hope I don't sound like a greedy bitch saying this, but Shatter Me was like 330. So this is the shortest book we have in the series, new content-wise. And I think it reads a lot like a bridge book between where we're going next, because now at the end of this we've set up this new situation and it's gonna be so good learning what's next. The way that I described this when I first read it was each individual scene reads like its own little fan fiction. Like every single chapter just hits you so hard. There's just this weird cohesion, I guess, that I felt is missing. The biggest issue I have with the book, and I'm saying this in the non-spoiler section because it's like pretty generic, there's a little bit of issues with like bringing things up and not having them come back again, or things that were important in the previous trilogy that aren't mentioned in this book. And I think there's a little bit of weakness there as far as, since this is a book that bridges the trilogy to what the new action is, it just feels a little bit incomplete. And that's also driven by the fact that there's like no real villain in this book. The characters are kind of turbulent. There's things in the beginning of this book that don't come back at all. Like there's this shooter that's a spoiler. But like Warner getting emotional at the beginning of the book about that's a spoiler. Okay, here's a non-spoiler one. The fact that they live on a military base and they never interact with soldiers. Just like little details that are essential to the story, like the side characters from Ignite Me, like never being mentioned other than 2 or 3 times. It's just a little weird plot-wise as far as like, why wouldn't that be important, especially with the ending. And I have to stop myself all the time and try and release some of my I wish this would have happened, or I wish we would have gotten this, because I know that's what's gonna hold me back from appreciating this truly, which is I think why I didn't like it the first time I read it, because I was like, this isn't what I wanted. This is not what I want. This is not what I planned. But as soon as you let that go, let it go. It's beautiful and amazing. And I trust where it's going. I trust Tahereh. I trust these characters. They're smart characters who undergo such realistic conflict. And again, in future books, everything's just gonna fall into place. And that's about all I have to say about the book without getting into individual scenes. I think it's a brave and a faithful continuation. And if you've spoiled yourself on it like I did, hearing it for the first time, you're like, how would that work? That's crazy. It expands the story to such new levels. Like, okay, here's the metaphor I've used to describe it before. So all the theories I've made, all the fan fictions I've written, all my ideas I've had about the series were like in a box over here. Like, this might happen in the Shatter Me world, but we'll never know. And then we got this series and I was like, okay, new theories, they're all in this box. What happened was like over here. Like, I played it so safe with all my theories and we ended up being like, would have never guessed. Hi again from future Whitney. So I ended up filming this bit of the video assuming I was gonna tack it on to my spoiler review, but then I decided during editing I'm just gonna make it its own video. Therefore, I did not film an outro. So here I am. If you're watching this wanting a spoiler review, that is coming next. If it's already up, I will link it somewhere probably. If not, I hope you enjoyed this review of Restore Me. I loved it and gave it 5 stars. I think it's so worth it to keep reading the series, but I understand if you'd rather hold off and read them all back to back whenever the final one comes out. Yeah, that's really all I have to say. I'm really excited to get into spoilery stuff, so yeah, okay, let's hope for that. Bye everyone!